Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are in the country. I'm Sally Root from the National Governors Association Center for Best Practices, and we're just delighted to have you all with us today. I'm going to start us off by providing a little background on NGA and the work we're doing for the U.S. Economic Development Administration, affectionately known as EDA to this group. So the NGA Center for Best Practices is the state policy consulting side of NGA. The center's policy teams develop innovative solutions to today's pressing public policy challenges. The center's project focused on travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation is being led by Jessica Rackley, who specializes in outdoor recreation and environmental issues. And I'm working with Jessica on the economic development and tourism side of TTOR. On our projects, Jessica and I typically work with governor's policy advisors in these areas. So as I mentioned earlier, we're delighted to include regional and local stakeholders to our community for this project researching EDA's TTOR awards. NGA is helping to craft the research approach for our work in this area along with EDA. We're interviewing state officials and other leaders who are overseeing their EDA-funded TTOR projects through the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, and we're preparing case studies for a final report to be published in late 2024. NGA has also partnered with the Oregon State University Center for Outdoor Recreation Economy to undertake the research. OSU's core, specifically Randy Rosenberger, a professor with OSU's College of Forestry and the Center for Outdoor Recreation Economy, is determining data survey questions and collecting and analyzing data to determine TTOR project economic outcomes. Next slide, please. As I say, NGA's partner, previous slide, please, sorry. NGA's partnership with OSU's core is for a 2-year project to assess the effectiveness of EDA's TTOR grants and to help promote best practices. As you probably know, EDA awarded $750 million in ARPA TTOR awards. The funds were distributed to 185 projects throughout the U.S. The NGA project is collecting and analyzing both qualitative information and economic data on those TTOR projects. And more information about the upcoming data survey is available at NGA's Travel, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation Project website. Jessica is putting that into the chat link. And you should have received a preview email from Randy Rosenberger at OSU already. During the first year of this project, NGA and CORE are identifying a dozen TTOR case study possibilities. We'll narrow the list of projects based on data availability, successes to date, and a number of other factors. In year 2, we'll write a research report with case studies on 4 to 6 projects. Next slide, please, Abby. And next slide, please. Thank you. So in our first year, EDA is also hosting a series of 4 webinars to highlight a variety of innovative EDA TTOR funded projects. 3 of these webinars have already taken place, and the recordings are available at the NGA project website at the link shown on this slide. And it should also be in the chat box. The first webinar focused on resilience, the second webinar focused on workforce initiatives for TTOR, and the third one highlighted equity in tourism and outdoor recreation. Next slide, please. So this webinar today is the 4th in our series, and we're focusing on leveraging assets for outdoor recreation. Our fabulous speakers are Matt Brumley, the county judge for Saline County, Arkansas, Rick Erb, manager of the town of St. George, Maine, and Elizabeth Johnson, deputy administrator of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. I'll jump in at the end of each presentation and tee up the next speaker, but we'd like to save the questions for the speakers to the end of all of the presentations. So we're going to begin again then with the story of a historic bridge in the middle of Arkansas. Our speaker is Judge Matt Brumley, County Judge Matt Brumley. Judge Brumley, are you ready to begin?
I am ready to begin.
Great, thanks so much.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be able to present to you all. something we're extremely proud of, and that is our community, our county, our state, and this project in particular. Just want to kind of tell you a little bit about Saline County, where we are situated within the state, with the assumption you all are aware with where Arkansas is situated within the country. So we are dead center of the state of Arkansas. Saline County actually got its name because we supplied all of Arkansas and shipped salt to Tennessee, Louisiana, and Texas. We were founded in 1835, and we actually are sitting in the beautiful courthouse that you see pictured there. It's Christmas time, and we are lit up and just had our Christmas parade at the beginning of the week, and it was fantastic. We believe we have one of the most beautiful courthouses in the state, and you see it there pictured. It's actually our third courthouse, and that's going to play into effect as far as our historic downtown, how this project connects our historic downtown and really does build a bridge to economic development within our community, our city, and our county. Benton, Arkansas is the county seat, and that's where obviously the courthouse is located. That courthouse was bid in 1901 for $31,000. And they say that it finished on time and in budget. And so that was a lot to be said for that courthouse being built in 1 year. It opened in 1902. We have a population as of 2020 of 123,424, and we our growth rate of 15.2% is one of the highest in the state. We're in the top 5 as far as growth. I would say that today we probably are sitting at about 130,000 people in Saline County. You have control of my slides. All right. So there you see what we call the Southwest Trail. It's roughly a 60-mile trail, which the greatest portion of that trail, 27.3 miles, is in Saline County. We're bookended by Pulaski County, where our capital of Arkansas sits, Little Rock, and also Garland County, where Hot Springs sits. You can go to the next slide. In 2015, Pulaski County, Garland County, and Saline County came together and said that we would collaborate on this 60-mile trail, which the bridge sets. But also, there is a National Historic Site in Little Rock, Central High School, which some of you may be aware, in 1957, the Little Rock Nine were a catalyst to provide opportunity to open the door for equal rights of education, not only in the state, but in the country and across the world. And then we're also booked in, as I said, with our historic downtown Hot Springs, where Bathhouse Row was constructed between 1892 and 1923. In 1987, I believe, it was deemed a National Historic Landmark District. It's a gorgeous area. If you haven't been, a lot of recreation, lakes, Oaklawn, which is a horse racing track and resort area, is also in Hot Spring, Arkansas. And so I would say that we have great partners on either side of us. You can go to the next slide. That brings us to really what we feel is the crown jewel of the Southwest Trail, and that is the Old River Bridge. And I'm going to give you just a little quick history. So the Native Americans, primarily the Quapaw and the Caddo tribes, were settled in Saline County, Arkansas. And in 1815, a gentleman by the name of William S. Lockhart came to Saline County with his family to settle. And in 1831, that was a very big year for Mr. Lockhart. Mr. Lockhart received a license to operate a toll ferry that would go across the Saline River that you see pictured there. He also erected a bridge in 1831 that was also a toll bridge that people that would travel the Southwest Trail coming from what we know as St. Louis today to Texas, which, by the way, 75% of Arkansas's population was gained by those that traveled the Southwest Trail, or the old military road trail, as it was known. So that bridge was erected, and Mr. Lockhart was named postmaster for this area in 1831 also. That river bridge remained until 1891, in which a new bridge was put in place. And that's the bridge that you see there. That bridge was taken down. You can go to the next slide, I believe in May of 2018. And that was phase one of this plan. You see, in 2008, a group of people came together and formed a nonprofit called Saline Crossing, in which they secured about 5 acres on either side of the riverbanks that you see there, with the vision that we would have a regional plan that would bring people to that area to enjoy the historic nature of the area and all that it had to offer. And so there was a gentleman by the name of Lynn Moore, who really, Lynn is now deceased, but this was his baby, his vision, and I know he would be proud to see of the progress that we had. My predecessor, Judge Airy, in 2018, put together a team that was able to disassemble the bridge and send it off. I believe Lockhart, is that right? Lockhart Bridge, disassembled, took that bridge to Michigan and refurbished it, keeping all of the original pieces that it possibly could. The bridge was delivered back to us, and that phase one cost about $378,000, which you can see a lot of that was through our TAP grant, the Transportation Alternative Program grant that we were able to secure. If you'll go to the next slide, you'll see phase two, which we received the bridge back to us, which that's the actual bridge, refurbished and ready for replacement. And once it's replaced, it'll be the oldest bridge in its original location in the state of Arkansas. If I said that already, forgive me, but I'm pretty proud to be able to say that. The second project or phase of the project, you can see, was a cost of about $2.4 million to be able to get the engineering work, the work to be able to know what our approaches are going to cost, complete the transportation of the bridge back to us, and all of the costs to refurbish the bridge where it's going to be worthy for a pedestrian bridge to stretch across the Saline River. You'll go to the next slide. So again, I want to run how we got to where we are. In 2008, the vision was cast. In 2015, there was a united vision with the counties, Pulaski County, Saline County, and Garland County, and our respective cities and leaders within the cities that we have, chambers of commerce and other economic development-minded people. In 2018, the bridge was taken down and refurbished. And in 2021, we have the bridge returned back to the Saline County Road Department where it sits today. We have gone after every dollar that was available to us. And when the EDA grant, along with other grants that I've already mentioned, along with the federal highway grant that we have been able to enjoy, posed the opportunity for us to plead our case as why this was a worthy project, we jumped at it. We've also partnered, as I said, with our local county seat, Benton, and the municipality to build off of this bridge, which is part of the Southwest Trail, that will drive people into the historic downtown that you saw the picture of recently. And it will bolster economic growth to our area. You know, just just the construction of the bridge project and the Southwest Trail is going to have over $40 million in expenditures that are associated with it. And we believe will produce over 450 jobs. Property values along the trail will increase, we believe, $15 million, $7 million in Saline County. Over 1,200 out-of-town visitors per mile of the trail, specifically that river bridge that we're going to be able to put back in the area. And again, draw people from a spur to a biking and pedestrian trail, which is what the Southwest Trail will become as it encompasses the 60 miles. And so without the EDA grant, this, while may have been possible, would have been much more difficult for us to accomplish, and certainly in the time frame that we're talking about. So we're honored to be able to have the EDA grant that is available to us, and we feel like we'll be able to accomplish and see to fruition what the Economic Development Administration wants to see. And that is a growth in economic development locally and throughout the state and Central Arkansas, with such a fantastic project like the Old River Bridge project. I'll end with this picture right here. You probably can't make out a lot, but it sits in my office behind my desk. I get to look at it every day. And it's a picture of a bridge that has a lot of history, but is in a dilapidated state. Not many people can reach that bridge, nor does anybody go to that bridge with the mindset that I've come to this area to see this bridge. Now I want to go with my family to learn how we can become a part of Saline County through economic development, or even become residents of Saline County, such a magnificent place. But now we're queued up to have that bridge back and even in better shape than it was in 1892, with more visitors to come see it. But we'll be able to tell of the rich history, and we'll be able to give thanks and appreciation to all of those who made it happen, including the Economic Development Administration and the grants that they provided. So thank you for allowing us this time to brag about our community. The next slide, if you would, take time sometime today or later to visit and learn more about Saline County, and reach out to us or our team here in Saline County, which I'd be remiss not to mention. They sit in the room and they've played such a huge part, so much more than I have myself, and the people that have come before me to make this project. And thank all of you from EDA and those learning more about Saline County and what we have to offer.
Thank you, Judge Bromley. That was a fascinating story about the bridge and the history of your area. I really appreciate it. And next, we're going to hear from the town manager of St. George, Maine, Mr. Rick Erb.
Thank you.
Rick, you ready? Thank you.
I am ready. Thanks for having me today. We really enjoy the opportunity to talk about St. George and what we're doing here. Town of St. George is made up of two major villages, one being Tennants Harbor, which is where I am right now, but the other is Port Clyde, which is where the project took place, that is taking place, that I will talk to you about. If you are from Port Clyde, you do not say you are from St. George. You definitely do not say you are from Tennants Harbor. You're from Port Clyde. And same thing for Tennants Harbor, just the way it is. We're located on Penobscot Bay, and we're about halfway up the Maine coast, about midway between Kittery and Eastport. I have grown up not too far from here. I am not from St. George, but I'm from Castine, which is the other side of the bay. I think it's safe to say that it's, the other thing I wanted to mention is population here, 2,500 for St. George. It probably doubles in summertime. We're a very popular destination for people to vacation and for people who have second homes, which is part of the issue I'll talk about in a little while. I don't think that you can overstate the importance of lobster harvesting in Maine, both in terms of economic impact, there we go, or for our identity. And that is especially true in a community like Port Clyde. It is what we do. It is what has been done for generations. And it has its challenges that I would like to talk about. The climate here in Maine is uniquely suited for lobsters to thrive. Prices for lobsters are an important issue for us, and the price for the commodity, $10 to $12 per pound generally. Doesn't sound like that much, but if any of you have eaten lobster, you realize that there is a lot of lobster that is inedible. There are a lot of shells, there is water weight and everything else. So the price for lobster becomes very important here, and it's important to our economy. As I say, I did grow up in coastal Maine. My parents used to say that up until the 1950s, people would hide their lobster shells in their trash because that was a sign that they were on hard economic times, that they weren't buying store-bought food. But things have certainly changed since then. Can I have the next slide, please? I can tell you that lobstermen are a fiercely independent bunch. I think Port Clyde in particular has its share of those, but their way of life is threatened by several things. I'd mentioned the climate being ideal for lobsters, but as you would guess, that is changing. There's data that shows that the temperatures in the Gulf of Maine are warming faster than practically anywhere else on Earth. And we are seeing a decline in catch. We also, those that lobster and fish are very dependent on a fluctuating tourism economy. And it makes a big difference what kind of summer we're having. We were certainly hurt when people did not travel during COVID, and it showed, I can tell you. Can I have next slide, please? One of the other things that is an issue is access to the waterfront. Land is being bought quickly by the wealthy. It's another offshoot of the COVID situation. People want to relocate here because they found that they can work remotely. The town of St. George is much like the rest of the coast of Maine. It is a very irregular coastline. So this small town actually is estimated to have 125 miles of coastline. And that's because it juts in and out, and it's just an extremely irregular coastline. Even with all that coastline, there is very little access to the water. And there is competition for floats and mooring space with others who wish to use it. There are many recreational boaters in the area, and that's an important piece of Maine as well. But there really wasn't much public access, and it hadn't been set up years ago to allow for that when there was the opportunity. So we've had to try to come up with solutions to that. The other thing that we find, particularly with lobstering, is it's not easy sometimes for them to coexist. Lobstermen go out at 4 in the morning, and their boats are starting up, and sometimes it's a little contentious. So it's very important to find places where they will be able to operate out of. Take the next slide, please. With all the challenges that the lobster industry is facing, we've had to be more creative in terms of diversifying the economy. So we are finding aquaculture is growing rapidly. And that also requires wharf space and places for people to operate, to bring their catch in, to bring in their harvest, and to sell it. So that's another piece of this puzzle here. Take the next slide, please. About 8 years ago, the town purchased a property in Port Clyde for around $800,000. I'm sure it's worth much more than that now. And the plan was that we would expand the wharf that is down there now, improve what was there, and accommodate much heavier utilization. The town original intention was to take the land we had just purchased, add another 2 million or so, and carry out the project on its own. We probably underestimated the cost to begin with, and about that same time, construction costs went through the roof. So the project was put on hold. It was the EDA grant that really saved this project. It was dead in the water up until then. So we now have a project moving ahead. It's under construction now that will provide amenities for visitors, including green space, walkways, picnic areas. There is a thriving kayak rental business and boat tours, and of course, the fishermen. And we now have more space for all of them to work and to get along, and hopefully they will thrive. When you look at the aerial photo there, you can see there are gaps between the existing wharfs. Most of those are being filled. We are driving steel right now. It will increase the face of the wharf. There will be additional floats added, and there will be refurbished opportunities for people to launch boats in that area. Next slide, please. You can see the total cost of the project that we had not anticipated the full cost of the project, so we are very grateful for the funding. This is close to a $5 million project, which is, I'm sure, the largest project that the town of St. George has carried out. 80% of this is now grant funded. It is providing needed space for both commercial and recreational users. When you look at that aerial photo, I can tell you that there are restaurants and stores in that area. Many of their customers come in by boat, and we won't be able to accommodate them. There'll be more space. They will be able to tie up for longer without interfering with other people's use. And we're just looking forward to relieving congestion both on the water and on the road there, and that there will be parking space for more. It's going to be a big improvement, and we're really looking forward to it. So that's my story for today. I'll be happy to take questions later when you get around to that, but thank you for having us today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate hearing about your project, EDA TTOR project going on in Maine. And I want to move right along so we don't run out of time here. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Johnson, Deputy Administrator of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. Thank you for joining us, Elizabeth, and we're ready to go.
Thanks for having us, Sally. So as mentioned, I'm with the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation, and just a little background, because that idea of a office or division of outdoor recreation might be new to some people. So as a state agency, we're housed under the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. We're a newer agency. We were created just back in 2019, and we're one of 22 states that offer up an office or a position dedicated to outdoor recreation, including Arkansas and Maine. You guys also have offices or divisions of outdoor recreation. And our mission is to advance and promote sustainable world-class outdoor recreation opportunities throughout the state. And really to improve the quality of life for our residents through the vast outdoor recreation opportunities that the state has to offer. We promote economic vitality, public health, education, sustainability, and tourism through our collaborative contributions to Nevada's outdoor recreation ecosystem. And through the EDA's TTOR program, our state was given $13.56 million that was awarded to the Department of Nevada Tourism and Cultural Affairs. And then our division was provided $975,000 of that. And we're using those funds on 4 projects. And perfect, we're already on the slide. So that first project that we're using $75,000 towards is asset mapping, which is for our Nevada Trail Finder website. So we launched this website in the fall of 2022. and in partnership with the Great Basin Institute, Nevada State Parks, Travel Nevada, and grant programs through the Nevada OHV program and the Federal Highway Administration RTP funds. Just a kind of maybe a well-known fact or a little known fact, but Nevada is actually the most mountainous state in the lower 48 and is comprised of over 85% of federally owned land, which means that there is a lot of space to adventure, a lot of diverse terrain to participate in a variety of recreation activities. So if that's skiing, mountain biking, rock climbing, equestrian use, OHV use, it's kind of all over the board. We are a very fun state to play in, but that also means that there's large expanses of open terrain, sometimes without cell service. So kind of that planning ahead of your adventure, knowing where to go becomes very important. So with this website, it's free to the public information, downloadable maps and associated resources for both motorized and non-motorized trails throughout Nevada, including also water trails as well. So for boating activities, it's public-facing trail database mapping tool that really allows users to discover trails of all types across the state. And our goal with this is really to help people get out there, discover what the state has to offer, be active, and explore kind of all those treasures that the state has. And funds from this T-Tour program really helped us continue to expand this as a free resource. We were able to hire a GIS analyst to work on the website, working with lane managers to vet the trail data. That's really important with this, is that we make sure that it's all official system network trails that we're posting and not social trails, keeping the website up to date, and then also making additional enhancements to the website. An additional project that we're using these funds on is about $130,000 going towards the Tahoe Meadows managed recreation planning. And that's a photo of the Tahoe Meadows there. Outdoor recreation in the Lake Tahoe region draws more than 15 million visitors a year. And one of 6 principal gateways for the Lake Tahoe region runs through the Tahoe Meadows along State Route 431, also known as Mount Rose Highway. And the Tahoe Meadows sees over 10,000 visitors a day year round, which really contributes to some pressing challenges for such a popular but also kind of small recreation area. And so funds from the T-Tour program will be used to create an actionable recreation management plan to help improve safety, access, and infrastructure, while also protecting the natural assets of the area. And we're partnering with the U.S. Forest Service, the Conserve Nevada program, and then the Nevada Department of Transportation, as well as local municipalities to get together and work on this recreation plan. The next project is the Outdoor Recreation Economic Impact Study, which we're allocating about $150,000 towards. And research conducted by the U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau of Economic Analysis, they actually just recently came out with the latest batch of numbers for 2022, if you wanted to look those up. But outdoor recreation generated $1.1 trillion in economic input in the country. And outdoor recreation is also an important and growing economic sector for the state of Nevada. In 2022, outdoor recreation accounted for $6.1 billion in value-added dollars, accounting for 2.5% of the state's GDP, which puts us at about an 18.6% growth from 2021, ranking us 9th in the country for that growth. And these BEA numbers are super helpful, but we're really wanting to drill down to get more state and locality specific data. So these funds will be used to conduct a statewide and state specific economic impact analysis and create an asset map of the economic impacts of outdoor recreation at the local, county, and district level to better understand where these impacts are taking place, what sorts of activities, user data, that sort of thing. And we are partnering with the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency and the Nevada State Parks and the Land Water Conservation Fund to help maximize this data collection across the study, in partnership with getting ready for that 2027 Nevada statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, also known as the SCORP. So we're kind of partnering with them to make sure that we're really collecting as much data across these two impact studies to really kind of see what that impact is and that user data for the state. And then that final program that we'll be putting this money towards is the Trail System and Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Planning and Rehabilitation program. Next slide. And I'm going to dig in a little bit more to this one. So we created a grant program called the Nevada Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure, or NORI grant program. And we set aside about $620,000 to award for this. And the goals of this grant program was really to aid in filling the gap between chronic underfunding of parks and outdoor recreation agencies and organizations. As I mentioned, over 85% of our state is open space and owned by the federal government. And people like to play, a lot there. So really investing those funds and keeping those areas up to date, and to help Nevada communities advance their efforts to diversify their economies around outdoor recreation assets, rebuild and strengthen Nevada's travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation sectors, and provide strong support for outdoor recreation-based civic sector groups and their volunteers. As we were promoting this, and looking at the applications coming in, we were really prioritizing projects that were geographically dispersed around the state, projects that align with the strategic objectives of our 2022 SCORP, that the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, wanting to revitalize community recreation assets. And then we also place an importance on equity and reducing access barriers, and building and restoring recreation amenities that support local economic development. To promote the grant, that was a bit of a challenge for us because, as I mentioned, we were just created back in 2019. So we've been working hard to just make people aware of our existence as a state agency. And so in addition to that, also letting them know about this first time grant opportunity. So we definitely did a bit of a grassroots sort of getting the word out. We were presenting at county commissioner and community meetings, asking other agencies and partners to share the information of the grant program through their email groups. Every time we had a meeting with a organization or stakeholder, we made sure to mention about this grant program to let them know that it was coming up. And that grassroots kind of promoting of the grant worked. Next slide. So we received $2.6 million in requests, which we were very excited to see, but also we only had a little over $600,000 to give out. So we definitely had to say no to some amazing projects. Applications came from 13 of the 17 counties in the state. We got 2 statewide applications and 1 tribal nation application. Asks ranged from $8,000 to $75,000. And kind of the different types of projects and the applications that came in. And our biggest ask was for signage. And approving trail networks. And so that would be wayfinding signage, informational or interpretive educational kiosks, maps. The next most popular ask was for updating and repairing trails and pathways and to make them ADA accessible. And then kind of the next third largest ask that we saw was for equipment or for helping to pay a consultant for planning. We didn't require a minimum on these grants, but we did max them out at that $75,000. And the reasoning behind that is because we had such a kind of small bucket of money that we were utilizing for this grant program, we wanted to guarantee that we could spread the money out across the state. So with that $75K, we felt that that allowed us to do at least two projects in each quadrant of the state. When we were evaluating the applications, we looked for, are they improving safety, economic health, job opportunities, enrichment, adding to a sense of community, adding to health and wellness opportunities for the community, For recreational value, we were looking at, are they providing natural areas for improving mental health through stress release, offering outdoor settings for improving physical health through activities and exploration, and also how many different user groups is this going to help? Is it just for rock climbers, or is this project going to help benefit rock climbers, equestrians, OHVUs, people kayaking, that sort of thing. And then improving physical and recreational access, so ease of access to parks, community recreation facilities or trails through communities. Also how well thought out the budget and project costs were. And then we gave special considerations for areas with clear needs. So those increasing engagement with historically excluded groups or regions. Next slide. So we ended up awarding 12 projects across the state in 7 counties and 1 tribal nation. And there's kind of the list of the projects, and there's a map of kind of that spread around the state. And I won't read them off for you. I'll let you read those. But as an example for that top one, Sky Tavern, it is a local nonprofit located just outside of Reno in kind of the northwestern corner of the state, located on Mount Rose Highway. And Sky Tavern is home to the oldest nonprofit ski and snowboard training facility in America. They offer youth and adaptive ski programs during the winter. And really they're a community asset that promotes a child's growth and success through exposure to outdoor sports and recreation, no matter the personal challenges. And this funding went to Sky Tavern to help purchase an excavator, and that excavator will be used to maintain and improve the facility for skiing, snowboarding, and then also when it's not winter, they have a whole network of mountain biking trails, including adaptive trails that are meet the standards to fit an adaptive bike. They're the first purpose-built mountain bike adaptive trail in our state, so we're really excited about that. The excavator will be used to help install a snowmaking system and water tanks that will be used for snowmaking and fire suppression, and then also helping build and maintain their mountain bike trails. It allowed them to employ 2 full-time staff that they would normally have to lay off during the summer season. So that was really exciting. And then this will also allow them to expand their ski season and provide more opportunity for people to get up to the mountain. So just some kind of hurdles that we ran into is, as I mentioned, we're, a newer division. We're also a pretty small team. So, it did take us a while to kind of get these programs started and getting them implemented. But now we're rolling on it. We're pretty excited to see these through the end by the deadline. And then, just helping spread awareness of the division and this funding opportunity. And one thing to mention specific to this NORI grant fund that we put out there is, this EDA funding is going to make such a difference across our state. And we actually continue to receive inquiries about the NORI grant program and if it's going to be available this year. And, as it stands now, it was a one-time opportunity. But we saw such a need with this first round with $2.6 million in asks throughout the entire state. And we really hope to be able to find some additional funding sources so that we could continue this grant program in the future. So that's everything from the state of Nevada.
And that's a lot. Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, this webinar got off to a rocky start, but it was definitely worth the wait. Really appreciate your presentations, and looking forward to hearing some questions from the audience and any other folks on the webinar. I'll take the MC's prerogative to get the question going. Begin with Matt Brumley. You mentioned that you're a number of outcomes and impacts, anticipated impacts from your project, TTOR project. And one of them was that you will plan to hope to produce over 450 jobs in addition to a number of other impacts. And I'm wondering, is there one particular bucket in particular that you are hoping for, or are they across a wide range of sectors? Is there any more detailed thought that you all have put into where the new businesses will be focused on?
Yeah, good question. The initial 450 jobs are going to be look at the establishment of the entire trail. But the additional jobs, remember, this is going to be a biking and pedestrian. We have a water trail that's the state, we're working with Arkansas Game and Fish to put a boat launching ramp into that area to be part of the integrated Arkansas Game and Fish water trail system. It'll be the 18th water trail system we hope in our area. So a number of things are going to spur off of that as far as municipal recreation and park jobs, as far as outfitters that we're working closely with from a pedestrian, bike, and boating standpoint. And then just the shops, restaurants, and boutiques that have already popped up in our rejuvenated town square and areas along the Saline River Trail. I hope that answered your question. A lot of construction jobs and then a lot of ongoing commerce jobs will be included also. I think you're muted now. I think you were trying to say.
Yes, thank you.
Answered that.
Yeah, no, that was a great answer. Thank you. Jessica Rackley, would you like to join in and contribute your question that I am
Sure,
seeing in the
sure.
chat box?
I was just curious, Judge Brumley and Rick, for the competitive projects, how did you, I feel like it's an interesting kind of perspective, but how did you hear about this EDA opportunity? Like, how did you find out about it?
Well, for me, I arrived after, well, we'd gone through two things. First off, as I had mentioned before, there was not adequate local funding for the project. We then applied for a grant from the EDA about 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 or 4 maybe now, and were turned down, but were encouraged to reapply. And so actually this was a different bucket of money than what the town had applied for the first time. So the first job that was given to me when I arrived here about 2.5 years ago was, we need to reapply for the grant. We need to make sure that we get it this time. And so it was others that were aware of the funding before me, and I just did the reapplication.
Thank you. Really appreciate your input, and wanted to ask Elizabeth about, she mentioned quite a bit of data, and very impressed that Nevada is ranked 9th in the country for contribution of outdoor rec to the state's GDP. And you also mentioned getting ready for your SCORP data collection in 2027, and making use of BEA data, their satellite account for outdoor rec. There were a whole lot was in there. I'm wondering, we should probably have another webinar focused just on data. That would be interesting. Is there anything that any thoughts for other states that you can provide in terms of how your 6.1 billion towards the state's GDP gets accumulated, and how they might work to have such success like you have in your state in that area?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are starting to become aware of Nevada as an outdoor recreation destination. Certainly I'm not originally from Nevada, but when I started coming out here to visit, I was like, oh my God, I just had no real, didn't realize, just the diverse terrain. And even right now, we're based in Carson City, the capital, and we're just right on the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains. And, I can go to snow, I can get the mountains, or I can go out to the desert, and just kind of that diversity terrain. And so I think promoting what outdoor recreation assets of what makes your state special, it might not be that swing from a snow topped mountain to a desert, right? Each state has their own special thing that they offer when it comes to outdoor recreation, as far as kind of getting people to travel in. And we did see a large uptick in visitor spending in specifically outdoor recreation. I think it was a 40% growth from 2021 to 2022 in outdoor recreation spending. Gaming is definitely our number one spending category for visitors. But it's exciting to see that, that growth with outdoor recreation, that recognition, and people are realizing that we're a place to have fun in the outdoors. And so just that work in promoting that side of your state. And yeah, I think that's it.
Appreciate it. Thank you to all of our speakers today. This is a really interesting webinar. The recording will be posted to our website. We will look forward to connecting with you all on the other aspects of our project, including the survey and upcoming data collection analysis. So thanks to everybody who joined us. Really appreciate your thoughts, and looking forward to connecting with you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.